Hey, welcome back to my channel. It's Michelle, surviving narcissistic deception and of adreamlife.com. So today I want to tell you a story. So I'm going to use what I know about narcissism, well, the many things that I know about narcissistic personality disorder and dealing with these narcissistic people. And one thing I know is that once you realize that you're dealing with the narcissist, and let's say the narcissist doesn't realize that you realize what they are, usually if they feel that they can still hoover you or that they can still get in there, they will. And I had an experience with a fly that created a metaphor for me that I want to share with you, because a lot of the times, if you become one of those people who are spiritually aware and you pay attention to everything, you can find a lesson in something as small as a fly. Because as small as a fly is, a lot of times we're disgusted by flies. We just don't get along with them. We can't find any reason to. But today I'll explain to you what that meant for me. Enjoy. Hey guys. So if you are coming out of a narcissistic relationship, or you're in one and you're trying to get out, but either way, if you're here, you are becoming awakened. And in the process of becoming awakened and connecting with the universe, you will begin to see that everything can have spiritual meaning for you, and you may be trying to decipher it. So today I want to share a story about the fly. So when I come in contact with insects or different situations that are either getting my attention, maybe through some beauty, or sometimes it may inspire negative feelings, like my relationship with the housefly, or any kind of flies for that matter, because we know that flies are some of the pests within our universe, and we know how they behave and how they operate and how they seem to not have any shame. They will dwell in the nastiest and dirtiest and unclean and most insanitary places, and then sit their asses on our food, or find their way to our table, or even worse, land on our bottom lip, or something like that. But the thing about the fly is that it's very persistent. And so when this group of flies visited my apartment, it was during a time when I was really fighting narcissistic hoovers. And I wouldn't block the number. I'd blocked the number before, but because I was dealing with a malignant narcissist who'd also had a really violent and vicious track record, I didn't want to snatch my head out of the lion's mouth. You know, that old saying, don't snatch your head out of the lion's mouth. You should like kind of ease it out. And I wasn't ready to relocate, and so what I would do was just leave the phone available but not answer, and then I would, sometimes answer with really short messages back, kind of gray rocking until I could figure it out. But I'd already made up my mind that it was no more. But then I saw a video, and this person, who also is very experienced in narcissistic abuse, particularly the abuse of hoovering, mentioned that with persistence, almost anything can be done. And so to be careful of keeping any open lines to a narcissist. And so this is something I had to think about. So moving along to the story of the flies, this lasted for about 4 days, and out of nowhere, all of these flies, well, I thought it was one fly that was circulating from my bedroom to the living room, and I'm like, oh my God. And so this fly was like getting on top of me. It was like buzzing in my face, and I could not catch it. And usually I'm really good. I'll wet a rag, I'll sit still, I'll concentrate, I'll aim, and I got it. But me having this relationship that I have with the universe now, a lot of times I try not to unnecessarily kill living things, even if they're small things like flies. But I couldn't help but think of the narcissist. And a couple of days, actually the day before it started, the narcissist called me out of nowhere, and it had been almost 2 weeks, and the calls were back to back from the morning to the afternoon. It was almost like a desperate attempt to get me to pick up, and he even sent a text saying, I really need you now. So because I'd already been educated on this Hoover, I did not answer. But the fly came shortly after, and it was really, really aggravating me. So I flipped open the Bible and I found this. I want to read a verse to you because there's like a double-sided meaning of what this fly represents. But in Exodus 8:21 through 31, it says, 24 says, and the Lord did so, and there came a grievous swarm of flies into the house of Pharaoh, and into his servants' houses, and into all the land of Egypt. The land was corrupted by reason of the swarm of flies. And so in this instance, Jesus sent these flies in to kind of harass and say, hey, look, let my people go, because not until you let my people go, these flies are going to swarm and devour you. And so I'm thinking about it on that spiritual perspective, metaphorically. And so a lot of times in the Bible, the fly is seen as bad. The fly is seen as something that is going to come and get you, right? But in some cultures, we see the fly as a sign of prosperity and abundance. And, you know, the fly is teaching us a lesson. And it's just like the narcissist. So I'm like, wow. What am I going to do? So for the next couple of days, you know, I set out to get rid of this fly. Once I realized that that fly was 4 flies, then 6 flies, but they would show up 2 at a time, or maybe 2 in the bathroom when I was in the shower, or 2 in my bedroom, you know, or 1 in the living room and 3 in the hallway. And so it was just getting really crazy. And I couldn't help but think about this persistence. The narcissist is persistent. With enough persistence, just like with this fly, I eventually gave up and laid down and covered my head the first night. I was like, you know what? I can't get this fly, but let me just cover my head, because the worst thing I could imagine happening is waking up and this fly is like in my ear or, you know, on my face. So after a while, well, the next day I got up and I started trying to attack this fly again. I had some Zep spray around and I sprayed at 1, but lo and behold, on day 3 I caught 2. I was persistent. I was persistent because I knew that if the narcissist had manifested himself as a fly to continue to harass and bother me, just as he does in human form spiritually, because I think everything has spiritual meaning, and I encourage you to also find the spiritual meaning in the things that happen in your life, the things that bring your energy low out of the manifestation frequency into anger and irritation or whatever it is, so that you can deal with it, manage it, and bring yourself back up to the higher frequency. And so this fly was definitely pulling on my frequency. But what I know about flies and what I know about narcissists is if they will create opportunity. They don't wait for you to give them opportunity. They are persistent, okay? And their whole goal is to get you used to this persistence and eventually manage down not only your boundaries, but what you think about yourself, your own power, what you feel you are capable of, until they get you to give up. They're some of the most persistent, super ego driven, ridiculous, boundary breaking spirits in our universe. And the fly represented that to me. The fly also taught me that I could be like it. I did not necessarily have to adapt its nasty, you know, ways, its tendency to hang out in back alleys and just have intercourse while sitting on crap. I didn't necessarily have to take what was bad about the fly, but I could learn from his persistence. And the narcissist teaches you to also be persistent, to stand up for yourself, to sit back and plan and contemplate and not be foolish, and to understand that this is a spiritual war. This is a battle for your soul, for your privacy, for your space, for your happiness, for your joy. The fly wants to come in and take over your personal space because it knows that the one thing that it has that most of us do not have is persistence and consistency. It is patient. It will stand back, it will disappear, it will hide, it will camouflage itself, it will blend, and then it will come out with all of its filth and sit on your plate. It will go in your pot. It will disrespect you. It will break all of your boundaries because it does not care. It is a fly. It has one objective: to get what it wants, to devour whatever it wants. It is never discouraged. The only way to get rid of a fly is to send it out, close the window, no contact, or splat it, or find a different environment. But you cannot allow the fly to take you over. Find spiritual meaning in every conflict. There's a lesson in every living thing, and sometimes there's a lesson in objects. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please check like and subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and if you know someone who is being harassed by the narcissistic fly, if the narcissist is gang stalking and manifesting itself all around this empath, let them know that there are lessons to be learned inside of that harassment, and there are things that they can do to adapt the strengths of the adversary and use them against the adversary.